Quest 3 just came out, and it improves upon the Quest 2 in almost every aspect. In this video, I go over the differences to see if it was worth the 3-year wait. So the Quest 3 comes in two flavors, a 128GB model for $449 and a 512GB model for $649. I needed mine to be future-proof, so I went with 512GB. I'm actually surprised there wasn't an option for a 256GB version. The packaging uses very minimal materials. Also included is a USB-C to USB-C charging cable and an 18W power adapter. So the most notable difference between the Quest 2 and 3 controllers is the absence of the tracking ring. Instead, the Quest 3 uses the main cameras for guidance. One of the things that really annoyed me with the Quest 2 was changing the batteries. You had to apply pressure and force to open the battery compartment. On the Quest 3 controller, there's now a release button that you have to press, and it makes it much easier and more secure. So this is the official carrying case. I like having a safe way of storing my Quest 3, as well as being able to transport it. There's also a little compartment to store the USB cable and adapter. The Quest 3's head strap is slightly better than the Quest 2. It now has a Y splitter, so when you move them apart, it tightens the strap. This method works, but it's not very convenient. I went ahead and invested in the official Elite strap, and it's got a couple advantages. For one, it has a support cradle on the back of your head, and this gives extra stability. Second, there's an adjustment dial in the back, so that you can get a tight and secure fit on your head. The ports and buttons have slightly been rearranged. The power button is now on the left side, and the USB-C port is now directly on the head strap arm. The 3.5mm headphone jack is now on the right side. I wasn't a big fan of the Quest 2's Fresnel lenses. Your eyes had to be perfectly centered, and it's even more problematic if you wear glasses. This really isn't a problem on the Quest 3 anymore. The new pancake lenses have much better clarity and a much sleeker design. The resolution of each eye on the Quest 3 is 2064 by 2208. The Quest 2 only had a resolution of 1832 by 1920. Another problem with the Quest 2 was the limited IPD range. The only settings you got was 58mm, 63mm, and 68mm. The Quest 3 uses an analog dial to adjust it, and it has a much wider range, from 58mm to 70mm. If you wear glasses like me, you no longer need to install a spacer. On the Quest 2, you had to attach this plastic ring to the facial interface. The Quest 3 already has an adjustable spacer built in. There's a small release button, and you can change it to 4 different settings. One thing that bothered me is the size of the nose gap. You see, this affects the amount of exterior light leaking into your headset. For some reason, the Quest 3 has a larger nose gap than the Quest 2. Also, if you order the Quest 2 Fit Pack, you get these 2 little light blockers to block out interference. So one of the problems with the Quest 2 interface is that if your face was wider or smaller, you had to change to either the wide or narrow interface. On the Quest 3, the facial interface is a lot more elongated and flexible. I have a large head size, and I never once felt constrained while wearing it. So if you haven't already, you're gonna need a Meta account. Thankfully, they did away with the Facebook requirement when the Quest 2 came out. After you have a Meta account, you'll want to download the Meta Quest app and log in. The next step is to scan the QR code on the box. It'll open up the Meta Quest app, and from there you can choose how you want to connect your headset. So once the pairing is done, your Quest 3 is ready to use. Oh, and don't forget to redeem Asgard's Wrath 2 from the Quest store. And if you got the 512GB version like me, you get 6 months of Meta Quest Plus subscription. Before you start playing, you'll need to create a boundary so you don't accidentally run into walls or furniture. The Quest 3 can automatically scan your surroundings and detect obstacles. However, this doesn't provide the most accuracy. I still prefer the older method of drawing the boundary lines by hand. The Quest 3 is equipped with dual 4MP RGB cameras and a depth sensor in the middle, and this helps with the Quest 3's mixed reality capabilities. The Quest 2 had a really bad black and white pass-through that looked like a security cam. It was almost unusable. The Quest 3's pass-through is in a different ballpark. You can do most basic tasks like searching the fridge, having a drink, or going to the bathroom. I can even use my iPhone and my iPad. The picture quality is good enough to check my email and social media. However, it seems that the lenses are nearsighted. I can't read the monitor screen unless I get real close. Now, if you want to work with your computer, you want to download the Remote Display app. What it does is it mirrors your monitor screen, and it works quite well. I can read text and articles crystal clear, and I have no problems typing on my keyboard. It's actually practical to use the Quest 3 just by using your hand. The improved cameras and depth sensor makes it easier to track your hand movement. To switch to hand tracking, just tap the controls together twice and set them down. You can now interact with the buttons and menu with your fingers. And if the display is too far away, you can turn your hand into a laser pointer by pinching your fingers. Oh, and if you need quick access to the shortcuts menu, just open your palm facing up and pinch your thumb and index finger. So the Quest 3 is equipped with the new Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 chip. It has 8GB of RAM and it supports Wi-Fi 6E. The battery life is in the ballpark of at least 2 hours. Now you could get the Elite strap with battery, but that's gonna run you $130. A much better option is just to use any normal battery pack. Just slide it in your pocket and run a USB-C cable line. The speakers themselves don't look like much, but they do sound a heck of a lot better than the Quest 2. I noticed that the sound quality was much richer, and it had more dynamic range. You could use headphones, just don't use Bluetooth earbuds. The latency is about 1 second, and it makes games unplayable. Instead, I recommend the Anker Soundcore VRP10. These connect through the USB-C port and uses its own wireless connection. Meta did include some free demos to showcase the capabilities of the Quest 3. First Encounters is a game that showcases what a mixed reality headset can do. So how about the actual game lineup? Well, for the most part they're just upgrades from the Quest 2. There really weren't any launch titles on day one. Meta announced on their blog the Best on Quest 3 program. It's basically an official list of Quest 2 games that are optimized to play on Quest 3. One of the most notable titles is Red Matter 2. The game practically looks like a remaster with improved textures and dynamic shadows. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners also gets the same treatment. The colors are a lot more vibrant, and the textures, shadows, and lighting all get upgraded. Now as for the rest of the lineup, well, the upgrades were incremental. I did side-by-side comparisons of Pistol Whip, Drop Dead Dual Strike, and Mother Gunship Forge. All three games play at a higher resolution, and I noticed some enhanced bloom effects, but there really wasn't any graphical enhancements that made me go wow. So yeah, my biggest complaint with the Quest 3 is that the hardware is there, but the software isn't. There are some really good titles that are coming out later this year. I'm really looking forward to Assassin's Creed Nexus, which comes out on November 16th. Anime fans are gonna go wild with Attack on Titan VR, Unbreakable. The final season is just about to wrap up, so the timing couldn't be better. No official release date just yet. And finally there's Asgard's Wrath 2, which comes out on December 15th. Anyone who ordered a Quest 3 by the end of January next year gets a free copy of the game. Okay, and that pretty much covers it. So let me know in the comments, are you going to get the Quest 3? If you are you going to get the 128 or the 512GB version? Oh, and Meta? Please make a 256GB version. I feel like 128 is too little and 512 is too much. I feel like 256 is the sweet spot for most people.